Okay, so we are live. Hello everyone, this is Nitin Shah from ICHARS Support Foundation. Uh, Welcome to the third episode of PsychTalks on meditation. In today's episode, we will focus on learning how meditation can strengthen connections inside our brains. Today, with us, we have Dr. Kanishka Sharma. He is working as a postdoctoral fellow at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, India, desiring for a full-time position in related fields of neuroscience and cognitive science. His strengths are psychosociological research with human subjects, research project management, and writing for research grants. He is also mentoring undergrads and postgrad students for their internship projects. Um, Welcome, Kanishk. Thank you for being here with us today and being present to answer all the questions that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Nitin. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. And just before we get into the question and answers, I would like to remind all the viewers who are watching us that this series is a result of a collaborative effort between ICHA Support Foundation and Spark Wing from Brahmakumari's Mount Abu. Our objective behind this particular series is to talk about specific meditations and the research that have happened in the area of these meditations, and then obviously also help all of you understand how you can apply these meditations as a part of your day-to-day lives. Uh, all of this is being done so that we can help people understand the importance of focusing on their mental health and that they can find different ways, different strategies through which they can manage their mental state, their mental health, and be able to live a happier, healthier, and a more fulfilling life. I hope everything that we are doing through these series and through the other efforts that we are putting in is helping all of you moving in that direction. So, Kanish, can we start with the session for today?
Yes, of course. I'm
Okay.
eager.
And just before we start, any particular thing that you would like to add from your side?
No, I would go with the flow, whichever you feel.
All perfect. Thank you.
Moreover, I
So,
just want to add one more line before we start that it's like even I'm also very thankful for you for ICHRS that you started this a very great initiation to actually get the research thing to actually taken this research thing into the layman's field. So, what is the purpose of research? We need to understand first. That is why do we do research, not to write papers, not to write thesis, but moreover, we want to come up with something that we can actually translate in human life, actually, which we can, give it to the mankind and then they can apply for it. That is one thing. But how would they apply it if they won't be able to even understand what the research was and how the research have accomplished. So those all factors are very much required for any and everybody to know that the techniques, the tools which we apply, and why it is required, what all results it will give. So I think it's a very fantabulous idea which you have come across, and we are here. Yeah, please.
thank you. Thank you. And see, as I said, I'm saying this again for all of the viewers who are watching us that our objective with these series is to bring to all of you things that you can do to focus on and improve your mental state and your mental health. And that's extremely important in the world that we are living in right now. So if you have any questions about the meditation, about how it can help and or how you can apply it in your life, please ask us questions and we will take your questions during the session along the way. Perfect. So, Kanish, the first question that I want to ask you is, can you give me a brief context about this study and what was the objective
I
of the
think there
study?
is a maybe from your side.
Okay, can you hear me now? Kanish, can you hear me now? Okay. So people, we are probably having a bit of a network glitch. Just give me a moment and we will take it forward from there. So I think Kanish just got disconnected. Once he joins, we will take this forward again. Meanwhile, please feel free to ask us questions. Today's topic is about knowing how meditation can strengthen connections inside our brain. Okay. Now, while Kanish joins, in the last episode, we had discussed about the 1 minute meditation. I hope all of you have been able to practice some of it and benefited from it. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask us questions about that as well. And now that we have Kanishk with us, we can take this episode forward also. So, Kanish, my question to you was, would you be able to give us a brief idea about the study that we are going to talk about today and what was the objective of this study?
All right, all right. So the thing is, the we would start with the. It's like taking it reverse back from after publishing the paper. So the paper was titled as "Enhanced White Matter Integrity in Corpus Callosum of long-term Brahmakumaris Rajoga meditators." So what actually we have done, if we look at the key terms, what we have used in the title, that enhanced white matter integrity, this itself is one term. What is the meaning of it? That the white matter is basically a part of brain, and more than the part, it basically are the fibers or the connections. So when I talk about connections, again I have to go back and talk just one or two lines about the brain anatomy. So brain is basically composed of neurons, which is nerve cells, and these nerve cells are like cell bodies, and it's like maybe some pyramidal say shapes, maybe some other shapes also. Purkinje neurons are having different shapes. So many different kind of neurons are there, and then they like create a process to connect with another neuron. So that is how this another neuron gets connected to another, like first neurons, and that is how these connections build. So this white matter is nothing but these are the connections. Corpus callosum is a region in our brain of this connection. It's basically a bridge between left and the right brain, which connects most of the areas of left and the right brain. Because we know, if people don't know about this, so I should tell them that brain is basically divided in two hemisphere. One is the left hemisphere, another is the subsequent right hemisphere. So this left and the right hemisphere work in coordination, and how it is possible, it is becoming possible because of this corpus callosum only. So this corpus callosum is basically a region where these fibers are running from left to right and the right to left. Next term is long-term Brahmakumaris Rajoga meditators. So actually what we have seen how different meditation practice, let's say this practice is Brahmakumaris Rajoga meditation. For if you're practicing for a longer time, and when you do it for a longer time, that means the subjects what we have taken in this study is more than the a subject group which we like to brief about the study. What we have studied is we have studied the microstructural properties of this corpus callosum white matter fibers in long-term Raj Yoga meditators. So this is what we have done, and the techniques what we have used was DTI. This is diffusion tensor imaging. Most of you are familiar with, may have not gone for the scan, but yeah, might be familiar with the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. It's a big, huge machine, which is based on the, or it works on the principle of MR physics, magnetic resonance physics. And then based on that only, there is another technique which we through which we capture the images in the same machine. So that is called DTI, diffusion tensor imaging. And with this diffusion tensor imaging only, it has become possible to actually know about how and what is the number of fibers, or let's say not even number, even the thickness of fibers, what all running in your brain is actually. So that is the technique, the brief about techniques.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And with what you've explained, is there anything else that you would like to add with respect to the methodology or the process of the entire research?
Yeah, of course. If in detail we want to discuss, moreover, what we have done is the hypothesis what we have taken was based on some studies which people have done. I think if I correctly remember the author name, Eileen Luders. They published their paper somewhat in 2011. So they have also done similar kind of work, and they have taken a very good number of subjects, including controls also. So that sample size of their study was 54, and they also have utilized this DTI only to check how meditation can create anatomical level, or even I would say microstructural changes in the brain. So that was the basis of I got motivated with that study, and I thought that if these people are doing on mindfulness, why can't we do it on some of the very indigenous and very effective meditation techniques which has been followed by more than 1 million followers worldwide. That is also regular followers. So this is what actually made me motivated towards doing this study. And along with that, what we have done is that at the very initial phase of this study, I was little skeptical about taking meditators and how I'm gonna control over their experiences, how they do practice, and what all things do they have achieved in their life, and how it is going to affect their brain development. Because yesterday also when I was discussing with one of the sister, and we had this conversation that how what all are the limiting factors when we are talking about the brain aging. So when we talk about the brain aging, so many things which we learn in our childhood, that creates a cognitive reserve of our brain, and ultimately this cognitive reserve is something which creates or it facilitates to learn many things, and even it provides a strength to fight against the age related decline in the later stages. So yeah, when we started about taking and choosing the subjects, so first criteria which we have defined was that meditators should be having long-term practice of meditation for at least for 10 years, and out of those 10 years, at least number of hours per day should be 30 to 45 minutes. That should be a daily practice. So on the basis of that, we have we called many individuals, and we asked them, and then based on that we have selected them for this study. Another important criteria which we have taken for subject selection was that all the subjects
Kanishka, we've just lost you over there.
or
Can you just repeat again from the part where you said that you have selected all the subjects? We just lost you in between.
Yeah, yeah. So we have selected all those subjects who were living in any of the BK centers, or somehow they were given some kind of seva, which we say any kind of service or responsibilities in the organization, just to maintain that just to maintain the fact that they might be following a similar kind of routine. So that's how we try to manage. We managed to get some 29 to 33 subjects in total. However, in this study, we could only use the 29 data of 29 subjects. Sorry, 22 subjects. And yeah, this was all about the subject selection, which was the very first thing which we had to deal with. After that, it was like see, one more thing I just want to tell you: when you do research, this one thing which is called feasibility. So you always would like to, make your study very much feasible to the available resources. The available resource when we designed this study was that we had the Southeast Asia's the very first MRI which was installed in Mass. That time I was working in INMAS, Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences. So in that institute, we had a good number of patients coming for their thyroid, for any kind of other disorders, and especially because imaging facility was established there. So because of some referrals from other hospitals, patients were coming. So to manage our healthy subjects, healthy control subjects, and meditators in that similar roster, we try to get some time, and it took almost 1.5 years to actually record this number of subjects, this very small number of subjects. So this was another thing, and the third thing, after we collected the data, the analysis, and all these things, is the statistical analysis, and before that, the whole pre-processing of the images, what we have taken from MRI apparatus, was a huge task, obviously, and moreover, the you know the findings what we have received was actually enlightening, and we got pleased to know about that the differences what we have received in two different indices, which is the first indices was fractional anisotropy, and the second indices was mean diffusivity of these white matter fibers. I will explain this mean diffusivity and fractional anisotropy also in detail. So the difference what we have found out in these two indicators of white matter integrity was very significant if people know about the Pearson correlation. When we established the Pearson correlation and the significance between them, so at the level of significance, it was the p-value was coming way lesser than 10 to the power minus 7. That means 0.000 at, like, let's say at seventh place of 0 it was 1. So that's how these results actually excited us, and we thought to communicate it in that journal of brain connectivity. So yeah, it was a very basic short story of that paper, the research. Yeah.
And which particular meditation technique have you used in this paper? If you could just remind us again of that.
Yeah, yeah. So this in this particular research, we have not asked subject to meditate in the MRI machine, because it was taking the hypothesis was that due to the long term practices what they have already done within this last 10 years or more than 10 years, they might have acquired a good amount of the resilience or any kind of behavioral changes. Because of that, we hypothesize that some of these microstructural or anatomical changes would be present in the subject's brain. So we have not asked them to meditate, but yeah, most of the meditators were doing soul consciousness meditation. That was the very initial stage of Brahm Kumari's Raj Yoga meditation. After that, they have the similar kind of state that like sometimes they do traffic control, and the very best example in the last talk,
Kanishk, we are you losing your voice again, thoda sa. You will have to repeat the last part of it again.
Is we have not provided we have not asked subjects to perform any kind of meditation or practice any kind of meditation inside the scanner for this DTI. DTI was basically to measure what all changes they have already acquired in their brain because of the long term meditation practice.
Perfect. And so, a lot of research has been done on enhancing the white matter integrity in corpus callosum, right? What major difference have you noticed in Raj Yoga meditation practitioners in comparison with other meditations?
I cannot comment on this because I have not studied any other meditation except very preliminary studies on this Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, which is actually not a meditation, it's just a breathing exercise. But yeah, the research which were published on mindfulness meditation, Vipassana meditation, even when I told you about this Elin Luder's study which was published in 2011, that was also based on some Buddhist meditation that which we call it integrative body mind training, IBMT. So this when we have read and when we have compared it with our study, we actually have found out a huge significant difference, which was way beyond what they have received. What they have received was at a very very lower significance level. I would say that it was zero point zero 0.01, and what we have received, which was way beyond 10 to the power minus 7, even less than that. So that was the difference what we have received. But yeah. It was obviously it was not a comparison between two or three different kind of meditation practices. So I don't find myself in a state to actually comment on any other meditation which I have not explored.
Okay, perfect. So, about this particular meditation and this particular research, would you be able to tell us a bit more in detail about your observations and also the effects on the psychological level, physical level, and neurocognitive levels?
Okay, so what we have done in this study is that we have checked the fractional anisotropy, as I was telling about, and the other indices, which is the mean diffusivity. So first of all, I would like to tell you more about in detail for these two indices, what we measure, to actually get to know about what is the health or what is the exact state of that white matter fiber which is running in the brain from site A to site B, or brain area A to brain area B, whatever is it. So this let's understand with a very layman example. So there's a if we have to flow, we have to flow a signal, or let's say even water from one side to another side. So this water will flow from a pipeline. So how good, how strong that pipeline will be, the water, the longevity of actually communicating or sending the water from one place to another place will be, with surety, and you can have it with a great strength. That is one thing. Second thing is, if the pipe will be very thin, and from the pipe only, if you have some sieves, some pores, so what it will do, it will diffuse the water, and some of the water will come out. So what happens is, the amount of water which is flowing from site A to site B will have a difference. That means the some volume will be will be diffused out of this pipe. So this is something which actually happens in the brain also. So when brain transmits signals from site A to site B, it actually goes from there to like site A to site B in form of ionic exchange. So this what this ionic exchange does is that this ionic exchange, because of the little diffusivity of those white matter fibers, some of these ions get diffused, and that is why these fibers should be very much strengthened with their ensheathing, which is actually made up of a fat which is called myelin, and this is the
Kanishka, I've just lost you again. Can you just repeat the last sentence again?
Yeah. So the thing is that this diffusion, how much diffusion is happening from this white matter fibers will will be like kind of say inversely proportional to the amount of signal which is received from site A to site B. So this is called mean diffusivity. Another thing which is fractional anisotropy. So fractional anisotropy is kind of an indirect metrics to know about uh, how much sheathing or enwrapping on the of the myelin fiber is actually done on the white matter fiber. So matter fiber is like a pipeline from which the iron is basically flowing, and on this pipeline the ensheathing of myelin is that means some one kind of fat which is happening on this. So how good this fat will be there, the diffusivity will be less, and because of that the anisotropy will be higher. So that is a simple understanding of these two indices. And our observations in detail, if I would say, if I can share the screen, if you allow me to.
Yes.
So,
You'll have
just
the
a
option below to share the screen.
I'm going to that. I think there's some issue with my PPT.
Also, so while Kanishk is setting that up, I see that there are certain questions in the chat box. I will take those questions up before the end of the episode. So
Yeah.
please keep your questions coming and I'll take them all up.
All right. So, yeah, I would like to share my screen, and uh, is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible now.
Some figure is okay, fine. So this figure, if you see in figure A, it's basically a kind of a schematic presentation of fiber tracts reconstruction, what we do through this technique which is called DTI. If you see my uh, cursor is running through this specific part of the brain which is red in the color. So if you see the other view, you see the fibers are emerging out of it. So from the red color, the fibers are some fibers are emerging, which is looking like green color, and some fibers which is looking like that. These colors like they are having purple color. So actually, it is not the color of fibers; it is the direction of fibers, and the direction is like so. If you're moving from left to right, the fibers are moving left to right, and these fibers are colored in the red color. And if these fibers are running from top to bottom, these fibers are colored in the purple color. If these fibers are running from anterior to posterior, that means from front to like post, it will be green color. So, if you see the region in the section B of the image, you see different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Roman numbers are there. So, these are all like specific regions of the corpus callosum. This red color thing is the corpus callosum, and this corpus callosum is kind of a like sagittal section, which is if I would cut the brain from this part, it will, and if I see this towards here for the camera, the picture will look like exactly it's the same how it is shown in the like image A or even image B also. So you see all these fiber tracks are running throughout the brain from anterior to posterior, and these fibers are making connections of left to right brain. Some fibers, some of these fibers are making connections to process some of the visual images. Some of these fibers are creating connections to actually provide a good motor function. Some of these fibers are very much intrigued on
Kanishka, I have again lost
Did
you for a
activity.
moment. Just the last sentence again, sorry.
So I'll show the image also. Yeah. So all these fibers which are running, if you see in different colors of these fibers in the section B of the image, these all different sets of fibers. I would name them also. If you can read there also, it's rostrum, genu, and in genu there's the rostral body, and then anterior mid body, posterior mid body, isthmus, and the splenium. So all these parts of these white matter fiber tract of corpus callosum are defined with different color codings. So here with different color codings, these all fibers are running from like in the brain from left to the right, and that's how these fibers are communicating for different kind of functions in the brain.
Okay, perfect. And in layman's term, what will be the impact that people will be able to experience?
Yeah, very much. I would love to tell this specific thing. I'm not claiming that meditation can create change, but meditation may create changes in the brain, even at the level of microstructural, which we have which we have evidence found with our study. However, the sample size was a medium sample size what we have taken for 22 like subjects, but still even in 22 subjects who practiced for more than 10 years, we found that their connections between left to right were very much strengthened. That means what is happening, you need to understand one thing. Some people say that there is a part which is there is a function of the brain which is happening in the left brain, there is a function of the brain which is happening in the right brain, but actually it's the coordination between left and the right brain which is happening to accomplish that specific task. So obviously some specific regions are present in the left only. So let's say the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area, which are very much responsible for speech related processing. These are present in the left side of the brain. However, some research they say that in the right side also some regions are getting activated when you are doing any kind of work related to speech processing, but majorly it is present in the left. So what I want to tell here is that meditation may create impact in your brain at the very significant microstructural level, so that your harmony between left and the right brain will be much higher as compared to the people who are not doing meditation, or I would say not doing any kind of exercise which they are giving it to the brain. So the limiting factor of any of the study when we do meditation is that meditators do a specific set of practices which we consider as meditation, whether they focus on breath, whether they focus on any thought, whether they focus on their emotions or their body rhythms. They do this kind of practices. But some other people who are very much into they are very much conscious about their health. They do some kind of yoga. They do some kind of I say any kind of training, any kind of sports they do. So whatever you do, a great amount of work is being done by the brain to learn that particular like let's say the training, whether it is a sport, whether it is meditation, and during that learning part only your brain makes different kind of connections, and even some of these connections get very much strengthened. So anything you do, if you do it in a very regular manner, it will definitely affect your brain. Even in the negative, even the negative things also. As we have seen that, like most of the people who start any kind of drug-related abusing, they get very much into it because of the reward motivation cycle, and I'm not going deep into the like neuroscience behind it, but yeah. So anything you do negative, that also creates an impact on the brain, and it provides a very bad impact on the brain.
Okay. And with respect to your study and what you've been able to assess from it, what are the things that you think long-term meditators would be able to do that will be difficult for non-long-term meditators to achieve? Kanish, I lost you after I asked the question. Were you able to hear the question?
I could not hear the whole question. Can you please repeat it?
Okay. So the question is that based on the research that you have done, what do you think long-term meditators will be able to do that will be difficult for people who are not involved in long-term meditation practices will find difficult to do?
Okay, so the difficulty is all in the head. It's just you need to make it regular. There's nothing which is impossible. There's nothing which is difficult. It's just you have to make a routine. And according to neuroscience, also neuroscience and psychology, if you do something for more than 3 weeks, let's say 21 or 25 days, you can actually make it as a habit. It will be easy for you to make that as a habit. So it's just about you get into that zone, you stick to your routine, and then you start doing this thing. Also, another thing is there which I have not discussed particularly about this study, that meditation what we have taken here was Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga, means the meditators what we have taken here was Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga meditators. So the meditation, what the process which I have studied about the Raj Yoga meditation is not just doing meditation, sitting here and doing the kind of instructions what you have learned in your first course. But along with that, you have to maintain celibacy and the diet which you need to, which you are following. It's not that you are restricting your diet. You are not taking some oily food or you are taking proteins. That is dependent on you. But the food, the food habits what these guys do, it's very excellent and the very first thing which I have noticed there, that was the understanding of how much like emotions can actually protrude, or I would say emotions can affect on your food preparation, and how that food, if you eat, will what kind of energy it will give. However, we have not done any kind of research study for it, but people tell that when I meet with people, when I meet with meditators, they say that the difference they can get to know. Even if you are keeping two tiffin boxes, I might be very suspicious with this statement. But yeah, if some of these people have told me that even if you keep two boxes of food made with two different people, they can guess that which kind of emotions with which kind of emotions this food was made. So yeah, this is also very important part. So ultimately, it was not only about the meditation; it was about the whole lifestyle measures what the meditators were taken.
Okay, perfect. In your understanding, what is the importance of studying meditation and related contemplative exercises?
Yeah, yeah. So it's a very good question, and like when we are studying meditation, there is one thing which always comes in my mind, that you know. Uh, it's like, you are just sitting and you are relaxing yourself, you are not doing anything, at least physically you're not doing anything, you're concentrating, and ultimately, um, whether you are focusing on something, whether you are you are just going into the open mindfulness zone, whatever you do in any kind of meditation practice, how doing nothing, means you're not doing anything physically, will lead to changes in your behavior, changes in your brain physiology, brain anatomy. So uh, why it is important to explore meditation? Because this in this era, like the very new situation which is still evolving and came across in 2019 for all of us, was COVID-19. And COVID-19 was a situation which was a kind of an infection, but more than this infection, people got fear. People among the masses, this fear got spread, and because of that fear, we heard that so many people ran from one place to another place. All these labors, they
Kanishka, I've lost you again in the end once you were talking about the
We
labels. Can you say that again, the last part, just?
that it was not whatever happened, they had to leave the places, and whatever happened in other places, let's say any kind of emotional like changes, what most of the people have felt during the COVID-19 thing, during the lockdown and all these things, the the resilience which we require to develop in our brain is of utmost important, and somehow meditation is the greatest strategy which can actually provide it. So many other kind of techniques also, let's say any kind of focus techniques, or any kind of even sports and other things also provide those kind of hedonic feeling where you get dopamine in your brain, serotonin level gets high in your brain, and you get excited and you get happy. But ultimately the question is how much you are able to sustain that happiness, the sustain that resilience. That is the question. So that is why I feel that the importance of understanding meditation and how it is bringing the change in the life of a human being, and then again a family. I always talk about this particular thing, and how we are bringing change. That means how meditators are bringing change in the world. They are bringing change in themselves. That means they are changing themselves, at least personal level they are changing themselves, and then they are, because of their behavior, they are they are improving the interpersonal relationships. That means the society is getting strengthened, the emotions between society is getting strengthened, and ultimately this world would be a very happy place. I might be talking a very Alice in the Wonderland story, but this is something which is very true, as per my experience, that even in some of these like transcendental meditation, it has been proved. These people have proved that if only 1% of the population of the city will practice meditation for 30 days, or I guess for 2 months, substantial amount of reduction was happened, which was seen in the any kind of crimes, whether it was murder, deceit, theft, and so many other kind of things. So yeah, ultimately it is bringing change, and how it is bringing change from the person. So from person to society, and from society to universe, the change is happening. So as the researcher community, it is our responsibility to explore and establish different kind of meditation practices with their merits and demerits, and ultimately so people will get to know about that, okay, this meditation is good for them, and they will, it's like, they can choose out of whatever kind of meditation they want to.
Perfect. And how would you define meditation? What, according to you, is meditation?
Doing nothing is meditation, as per my understanding, because ultimately when you are doing nothing, your thoughts are getting diminished, and that thoughtlessness is something which I define meditation at my personal level. But obviously when you do research, when you read a whole domain of meditation research, they have divided meditation in 2 or 3 different domains. The more like one domain which is having more number of different kind of meditation is the focused attention, where they they become attentive, or they focus on a specific thing. It could be your like body, or breath, body rhythm or breath, whether it is any body part. The second thing would be maybe any mantra, where the most promising is the transcendental meditation. The third thing could be any thought, or you transcend, you take this thought and then you focus on it, and then from this thought you transcend from one psychological state to another psychological state. The second kind of meditation which people talk about is that open mindfulness meditation. So it's not just, don't get confused. I request for everyone that don't get confused with the term mindfulness. It is actually the mindfulness is not just a meditation. It's a state of the brain, which where
Kanishka, I've lost you again. You were saying mindfulness is a state of the brain where.
Yeah, that mindful and mindfulness, what people do when they practice the meditation, they close their eyes, whether they open their eyes, they just follow whatever is happening and they just observe and let it go without being judgmental towards it. So it's like open mindfulness, non judgmental awareness is another trait of open mindfulness meditation or any kind of meditation which we cater in this. So yeah, these are two different kind of meditation domain in which people study this. But ultimately, it is all about how much you are how much you are training your neural resources in a fashion so that they get trained and the process for which they are responsible. Let's say if some of the resources which are responsible for attention are getting trained, and ultimately in the physical world when you are behaving that attention, when you have to perform this attention or any kind of memory or any kind of cognitive functions will be improved. So many of us sometimes feel very exhausted and no one more thing is there that which I mostly get from people when I talk about that let's do meditation. They say we don't get very much time to do meditate. So this is something which is very important to for them also, that it's not that you don't have time for meditation. If you will give let's say 20 minutes or 30 minutes for meditation per day, it will declutter the whole day what you do, the activities what which you do the whole day, and because of that decluttering you can save more than 2 hours. Let's not get into the facts, let's not get into the figures what I'm saying 20 or 20 minutes or 2 hours, but ultimately it is actually decluttering the mind and it is channelizing your brain in a certain fashion so that the mental faculties are getting trained and they are getting very much organized.
All right, perfect. Um, so this is for all of you who are watching this episode. So I understand many of you will have this challenge, at least when you're starting, that meditation कैसे करें, time नहीं मिलता है, या even if you have time, the idea is that I sit and then I don't know what to do after 30 seconds, and then my mind starts running to different places. So it's very difficult for me to kind of keep sitting and maintaining that posture. See, the idea is to begin. And you may not be able to begin with 20 minutes or 30 minutes to begin with, right? You may want to begin with 1 minute or 2 minutes. But slowly and gradually, you can build up that practice and be able to do what needs to be done for a longer period of time, which is one. In between, I was working with someone, and for those of you who are not aware, we actually focus on mental health in terms of therapies and coaching and a lot of these private consultations. So, one of the people that I was working with had this challenge that I am not able to meditate. It's amazing how simplicity can be so powerful and so useful. All I had to do was identify the time when he could give himself 10 minutes every day to sit, and there would not be any external influences that will bother him. And then we broke it down into small chunks that he can begin by, probably for 1 minute focus on his breath, then for 1 minute focus on his hands. So we just focused on him being able to focus on certain things to begin with. And eventually there were advanced practices that they incorporated as a part of their practice. But that setting up a time that every day for 10 minutes I would sit and do this in itself became a very powerful mechanism for them to get into advanced practices later on, which they could pick up from any other places, any other organizations that they were a part of. It just depends upon you being able to give that time and then follow up with yourself on that, right? And that's extremely important. Perfect. So, Kanish, there are also a lot of questions that have come in. So, can I just take up the questions that have been asked in the chat box?
Yes, if like yeah, obviously we can take it and then
All right, perfect. So, Dalal Viral has asked that please explain how traffic control help in brain.
okay. I think this question is like very much answered by Dr. Ajay Kumar Nair in your last presentation also.
Kanish, we have lost you again. There, you'll
Whole
have to.
whole lot of okay. Uh, am I audible now?
You're audible now. Can you
Okay.
start the answer again,
So
please?
yeah. So it's like in my understanding, when you do this 1 minute meditation, which is which in Brahma Kumari's philosophy we call it as traffic control. So what happens is, you know, when at every hour, which even I also have experienced that in most of the centers of Brahma Kumaris, and I think every center of the Brahma Kumaris, and even in the headquarters in Mount Abu, in most of the places, these speakers are installed. So every other hour, these speakers are playing a song for, let's say, 1 minute or 2 minutes, or sometimes this song is extending for 3 to 4 minutes also. So what is happening? That when you are doing so many of your task, any of the task which you are doing, let's say you are just walking, or you might be having some mental process which is going on, maybe some thought process is going on about tomorrow's task, or let's say the weekly schedule. But at the time when this traffic control bell rang, and you start meditating, or even just focusing, or just relaxed at that moment, what happens is that you reshuffle, and you actually press a reset button. So this reset button is something which uh, which is, in all the electronics also we say that the most profound solution for any of the problems which is happening in a gadget is that you just click the reboot or the restart option. So it's just a rebooting of that thing. So after rebooting, you will get organized, your cache memory will be clear, and then you will have a lot of RAM. I'm talking in the electronics term, but ultimately it is happening with our brain also. So, as per my understanding, I think it's something like that.
Okay, perfect. And the next question that is there is by Haven. What changes are seen in the white matter and gray matter of long-term meditators? How does Raj Yoga meditation help better concentration, memory, and the skills?
Okay, so the white matter fibers, we have discussed about this paper also, which we have seen the results in specifically in the corpus callosum region. But along with that also, I have found some results in other tracts also in the left and the right brain, which I have not mentioned in this paper. So this white matter fibers definitely are getting a very good amount of microstructural properties are getting changed. Related to the gray matter, I have not done any studies particular to gray matter, because one thing which I want to talk in basic about the gray matter is that changes in gray matter is after adult stages is very it's like very much. You won't find it very easily, because there's a cycle which is cycle of development which is happening in your body, and most of the brain's neural cells are they are becoming they are dividing, and then they are making their numbers till the age of 25, or let's say even little 1 or 2 years ahead of it. After that, it will be difficult to get these things, these all gray matters fibers, gray matter regions get is strengthened, or even getting high in number. But yeah, in some regions which is called hippocampus, and even in the hippocampus some regions are which is called dentate gyrus. People have seen the amount of gray matter got increased, the volume of gray matter got increased. We have not done any study related to the gray matter on long-term Raj Yoga meditators, but yeah, others have done it, and they found some changes in even in some other regions, which is called precuneus, which is somehow related to the emotions, and some other circuitry also. So yeah, some regions are there where long-term meditators have found to get their gray matter volume increased.
Okay, perfect. The next question I have is from Keshav, and he has asked how it will be helpful for common man. So I'm
Yes.
assuming
So,
that meditation be helpful for common man.
yeah. So, how meditation will be helpful?
Kanishka, I've lost you again.
Uh,
Sorry, can you start with the answer again?
So everybody has, whether it's a common man, whether it's whether you divide classes based on their economic status, or whether you divide the whole society based on their education. So everyone of us have their own fights and struggles in their life. So the common man will get will get help from meditation practice. The one thing which I believe is that they will create the resilience. So it's not that their problems will get solved, but the thing is they will get the fight. They will get that fighting spirit, or they will get that at least that relaxing tendency when they practice meditation, even during the times where the stress is very high. People are getting tensed even about their jobs, even about their daily routine task and all these things. So yeah, that's how common man also will enjoy the resilient zone if they will be able to learn the meditation.
Okay. And so I'll just probably add a couple of things. Uh, the number of challenges and problems that we face in our life today because of stress and anxiety and because of our inability to regulate our emotions is very, very high. And in fact, most of the challenges that we experience are a result of that. Meditation and all other practices related to that can actually help you regulate your emotions and your thoughts a lot more effectively. And the moment you're able to do that, uh, there's so much more that can be done. Take COVID as an example. There are certain people who have actually been able to find ways that they would have never come up with before COVID, because they were able to manage their emotional state, they were able to handle the uncertainty, and they were able to come up with innovative ways of dealing with their current situation. And then there are some people who probably got very overwhelmed because of the same situation, and maybe a lot of the problems that they faced subsequently, part of it was because of COVID and because we were under lockdown and so on. But it was also because we were not able to handle what we can do while we are under lockdown. And these abilities to be able to manage uncertainty, to be able to handle your thought processes and come up with the right strategy that will work for you, can uh, can be developed once you're in the right mental state, and that's what meditation and related activities can do for you. Right? I hope Keshav that answers your question. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to ask us that. Next question that I have, Kanish, were you saying something? Were you adding something?
Yeah. I was just adding one thing that see, again, it's all about identifying your mental state.
Yes.
So yeah, it's about identifying your mental state and how much easy you are able to identify that your mental states. Like it's like the same thing. We always whenever we get into stress, whenever we get into those situations where we get very much stressed out, and where the tension, we so-called tension, is very high. What we do is we ask questions from ourselves, and when we ask question from ourselves, we get away from the acceptance zone. So we don't accept what exactly is the situation. So we just say that it only happens with me, why it always happen with me, and why me only, why it's not happening with others. So many people are also just running around, and it's like these kind of questions. So if what meditation may does is that meditation may provide you that that emotional stability and that understanding of your own emotions, that or more about the metacognitive awareness, which is it looks a very heavy word, but ultimately it's all about what is actually running in your brain, how good your brain is feeling, how bad your brain is feeling, what actually your brain is demanding for. So this is all about the metacognitive awareness. In some of the papers, I found that even meditation and some other practices, they found to increase metacognitive awareness. So this is one part, and another part also which I want to include here from your platform, from the medium of your platform, is that see, the mental health is still something which is
Kanishka, we have lost you
Uh,
again. Sorry. Mental health
okay.
is what you were saying.
In our country, globally also. So the mental health, to get mental health, we people, so many people mental health. When even we got cut with in knife in our kitchen when we are just cutting the salad on vegetable, we immediately go run under the water and then we put the band-aid. But if something happens with our emotions, something bad is happening in my brain, or even I'm not able to identify what is happening and something is stressing me, I don't go to the doctor, or I don't go to a therapist, because of obviously because of so many issues that we really don't have many therapists, many psychologists, especially the clinical psychologists. So ultimately what happens is that this population which is dealing with lot of stressors, instead of getting counseled by psychological institutions, especially clinical psychologists, they get converted after some time into psychiatric population, and they go for their treatment with the help of medications. So this is something we need to bridge the gap. I think from your ICHR, that institute, you will definitely, or you might be definitely be looking for bridging this gap. So this ultimately this gap need is actually very much required to be filled, so that that mental health stigma can be broken down.
So, in fact, Anish, I don't know if you're aware of this, and for all of you who are watching us right now, a few months back we started an initiative called as the Visit MHP Challenge. Now, the idea is that a lot of people today talk about mental health. They want to talk about disorders. They want to talk about the importance of focusing on a healthier mental state. But no one still wants to visit a mental health practitioner. That gap still seems to be not bridged. And our entire Visit MHP initiative is about this, where we are encouraging different practitioners, different individuals to come together and actually make an announcement that if I ever feel overwhelmed for more than a couple of days, I will visit a mental health practitioner and check with them if there is anything that I need to do about it. It's simply like if on a particular day you're physically feeling uncomfortable, you may not be sure whether you need to visit a doctor or not, but you at times just visit a doctor for from a precautionary point of view, right? So that's what you can also do when it comes to mental health practitioners. And I'm happy that a lot more people have started coming up and have started participating in that initiative. There is an active effort that we are making in the direction where we are requesting people to literally pledge and make their announcement. And as more and more people do that, I'm sure there are people who will be willing to visit mental health practitioners and will be focusing on their mental health, not just by self work, but also by seeking help of other people who are available to help. I'm adding the link to that initiative in the chat for all of you who may be interested. Please check it out. There are a lot of resources available over there. And if you would like to be a part of that initiative, please feel free to join. Now, coming back. So the next question that we have is from Bilal, and he has asked, "What is the meaning of concentration? Can we improve concentration by doing meditation?"
Okay, yeah. So the first understanding which I would like to tell about this question is that the concentration is it's a very different from meditation. So concentration is when you are concentrating, you are actually you're focusing on something. So it's like the same thing when you take a glass, and with the help of that glass you concentrate all the energy which you are, let's say, most of us have done this experiment, a very interesting experiment in our childhood, that in the sunlight in the summer season we have taken one lens, and through that lens we have passed a good amount of sunlight to burn a paper. So what is happening that you are actually a lot of energy which you are which is passing through that lens is getting concentrated on that paper, and it is burning them. So what is happening here is that
I've lost you again, Kanish. Can you just say that last part again?
A good amount of neural resources,
Sorry, I've
concentrative
lost you.
meditations. So, yeah, meditation and concentration. If we talk about more psychologically, so concentration is about focusing on something, your focus ability, the ability to focus on things. And again, another thing, how much, there is another term which is called attention span. So that means how much for how long you can actually provide your attention for a particular task. So that attention span and concentration also, more specifically, I would say the focus attention or the focus have found to be increased with the help of meditation practice. So definitely, I'm not claiming, but yeah, most of the meditation does this kind of basically make this kind of effect. So ultimately, you are learning. Your neural resources are basically learning to get concentrated over something during meditation, and then they are like when it is when they have been practicing during meditation, they get strengthened. And when you do any other task where attention is required or focused approach is required, those prepared neural resources are actually working for it. So that is how brain training is is being done with the help of meditation.
Perfect. The next question we have, probably we are coming to an end in another 5 minutes or so. So I'm going to take a couple of other questions there. It's again by Bilal. When I do meditation, it starts paining in my brain. Is it harmful for me?
Okay, I cannot comment on this, but maybe you need to check what kind of meditation practice you are doing, and if you have learned a kind of meditation, you should go and ask your guide with whom, or maybe your teacher with whom you have learned the meditation. So I don't say that it is harmful, but even like uh, let's say 0.1% of studies have claimed to be on the negative side, or let's say they said that negative effects of meditation is also there, but that those negative effects are not for individual. Those negative effects are let's say for their maybe they're less aware peers. So it's about that if somebody is doing meditation, they might be getting organized, and somehow their peers might not like it. So that is why they find that there is a change in their behavior. So might be like that, but yeah, I do suggest you to go to any trained person who can, with whom you can teach you can actually learn the meditation. Or if you have already learned from somewhere, you should go and ask your teacher that why it is happening. So they may answer you better.
Also, because there are a lot of clients who come to us who have emotional issues, so it's actually seen that given the mental state that people are in, not every kind of meditation may work for everyone. So while there may be nothing wrong with the meditation itself, but obviously it's supposed to be done in a particular state. So if you're doing a meditation which is not suitable for the state that you are in, then it may have its own consequences. It's always better to connect with someone who is probably trained in the meditation that you are doing so that they can guide you and help you and support you better. Uh, Also, in case you're not sure what kind of meditation to follow, and you're going through some emotional vulnerability or some other kind of aches and pains in your life, please get it checked from your doctor or from a mental health practitioner, because at times there could be other things at play that you may not be aware of. Right? So don't think of self-worth as a replacement to consulting a specialist. The two of them need to go hand in hand, especially when there are challenges that you're facing in your life. A few months back, we had done a series where in one of the episodes we have spoken about different kinds of meditation more extensively, starting from how you can start if you have not started at all, and also going into what are the things that you need to be careful about. especially what mental states you need to be careful about when you get into meditation. I'm just going to search for that link and share it with all of you in the comments. Please check out that video. That video literally walks you through different types of meditations and how you can apply those meditations as a part of your life, and what to do when a particular meditation doesn't work for you. So while I ask the last question to Kanish, can he answer that question? I'll just quickly search for that link and I'll share it with all of you in the comments.
Yeah.
There is one last question that I want to take, and which is, can you explain the difference between mind and intellect?
The difference between
Mind and intellect.
mind and intellect. I think this is more of a philosophical or kind of a spiritual question. So better it should be answered by maybe a BK teacher or maybe a maybe a psychologist. So my core is not from psychology. My core is basically neuroscience. So maybe you better ask this question from Shrikant Bhai or any other BK teacher, or maybe some of the psychologists from your institution can also answer. Maybe you can answer this question very well, better than me.
So I would, for now, actually refer probably this question to someone who's coming in the next episode with us, so that they can answer this question and they can clarify this. I can give you my perspective, but I want to limit the discussions about this particular episodes to the kind of meditations that we are doing and how they are influencing people and so on. The link to the meditation that I was talking about is here, which I've added to the um, comments. Now, to answer your question about mind and intellect, so I'm going to give you my perspective of it, but we will take up this question again in the next episode with other speakers, and probably when Shrikant Bhai is there, we'll ask him to throw some light on it from his point of view as well. For me, when we look at mind and intellect, mind is, think of mind as a software which is running a lot of things in the background, right? And intellect would be one of those operations through which you can go beyond the mind. I think that's probably is the easiest way I can put it right now. But for a more detailed answer, we can obviously take this up with any of the other speakers who are coming in the next episodes. I hope that works for all of you. So I think we're already overshooting the time. We are at 8:45. If this was supposed to be a 1 hour session, we are almost at 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining us for this episode today. Just let me check if there's any other question that is. There is one last question that I'm taking, which is related to, I think, probably what you would like to answer. After meditation, why I feel calm? What changes happen in brain cells and endocrine glands?
Okay, is it directed to me only?
Yeah, exactly to you.
Okay, okay. So, not a very direct answer for this question, but as I was discussing about this 1 minute meditation, so what we do is that when we get a lot of stress in our brain, when we get a lot of stress in our daily day-to-day routine, and then somehow we manage to stop in between and press the reboot button or the restart button, we we kind of get into that zone that all these thoughts gets most of these thoughts of which are basically uh, affecting our the mental status of any individual will gets immediately gets cleaned up. So that's why I think most of us, when we do practice meditation, we feel relaxed. So after getting relaxed, we feel calm. So it is kind of a byproduct, which is byproduct effect, which is happening because of the meditation practice. And also, what is happening in the brain cells? A lot of things are happening in the brain cells, from excitability of the cells till to the conduction of the conduction of the signals. Everything is getting improved. um, which people have a lot of people have done research on, and maybe you can just Google about more about how meditation has impacted on your brain and the brain cells. You'll get to know about lot many studies. One fact which I just wanted to tell you, why meditation research itself is a big domain, and why and how it has the originating country, which basically it's all about that how any process is training your brain cells, whether it is meditation, whether it is contemplation, whether relaxation, or any kind of a psychotherapy. It is training your brain cells, or brain cells, I would say the tissues, the nervous tissue, and the connections are getting stronger. The connections are getting stronger. They are able to communicate in a better way, and if they are able to communicate in a better way, it is always good that the communication medium is good. Let's say it like if we have a good connection strength in our which we don't have right now in our connection. So sometime it is getting hazy. If it is the broadband speed, or the connection is very good, then we might not face these kind of haze in the connection. So ultimately the signal should be transmit in a better speed. That is what is actually happening in the brain when the connections are getting stronger.
Perfect. And just for all of you, this is something that I'm adding in the end, that there are ways of being able to strengthen that connection. There are different processes that are available. Maybe a particular meditation that you're doing is not working for you, but there's always options available that you can focus on. Uh, so go ahead, learn from people, interact with people, so that you can find the right process that works for you. Now, as we are reaching the end, I'm also adding a link to the research paper that we've discussed today in the chat box. So, for any of you who are really interested in reading about the research and so on, you can check out that research by clicking the link which is given below. And if any of you are interested in the kind of work that we do at ICHARS, I'm also sharing the link to the ICHARS website. Please feel free to reach out to us in case you need any help, if you have any questions. If you have any ideas in terms of how we can create more awareness about mental health and how we can reach out to more and more people so that they can focus on the mental health, please do get in touch with us and let us know. Thank you, Kanish, for joining us today. This has been like really informative and really useful. I hope everyone who was listening and watching to us were also able to find it useful. Uh, Anything that you would like to add in the end?
No, I'm also pleased to talk with you. It was a very wonderful session, and we have discussed more about the common things, the common questions which people are interested about learning meditation, whether how it is creating an impact on your brain. So more than the research study, the translation is required. So when you do the study, and you publish in a paper, how this is going to create an impact in the society, that is something which like me, or people like me who are curious to know about the brain mechanism behind the meditation should actually do. So that is what I'm also eager to do. So thanks to ICHARS, and thanks to you, Nitin, that you provided this opportunity to me. So yeah, that's it from my
Thank
side.
you for joining us. And for all of you, in the end, I'm just closing it with the request that remember, at the end, whatever we are doing because we want people to be able to live a happier, healthier, and more fulfilling life. It's important to be able to focus on your mental health, to be able to focus on managing your thoughts, your emotions better. So, at any point of time, if you feel there are challenges that you are facing in your life that you are not able to handle by yourself, please remember help is available. You can join spiritual groups for it, you can connect with your therapist for it, but please seek out help. And in case whatever you're doing is not working for you, there is professional help available. So please connect with professional specialists who can help you, guide you, and support you in your journey towards living this happier, healthier, and a more fulfilling life. So thank you, everyone. I would see you again next week for another episode on PsychTalks for meditation. Next week, we'll be talking about the effects of Raj Yoga meditation with with Rajnikant Panda. So thank you, and I would see you all next week. Take care.